Everyone, Joe Gentili from Saraf Gentili. Today, I want to answer a question that I got. I think it's instead of just answering it for the specific person, I think it's useful for a lot of people. Question is, should you appeal a USCIS denial to the AAO or proceed directly to federal court? So in general, I advise people to, if they can, skip the AAO and go directly to filing an APA lawsuit in federal court if you have a denial from USCIS. There's situations where I wouldn't advise that because federal litigation's just not going to work out for certain types of denials. But let's assume that you have a denial where litigation is an option. So appealing to the AAO, generally it doesn't work. They affirm the vast majority of denials on appeal there. So it's not like a really high percentage chance of working if you do it. The process could take a while to get an answer. And while you're waiting for an answer, you can't file a federal lawsuit. So this could extend just the period of time that you're dealing with this issue by a lot longer. Probably the most concerning thing for me about the AAO appeal process is that the AAO can deny you on different grounds than they initially did. So let's say that USCIS just makes a mistake, just an outright mistake on adjudicating your petition, and they deny you for something that's just off the wall. If you appeal that to the AAO, they can say, yep, okay, fine. We get it. That was a mistake, but we're going to deny you for this other reason. And now this other reason may be something that's harder to fight in federal court. Maybe they point to something discretionary. Somebody looks at the application and just makes a more fulsome denial, and it's more well reasoned, more well supported. So then you've just made your situation a lot more difficult if you do decide you want to go to federal court. If they make a mistake, you're better off going straight to federal court because you want to lock them into that mistake. You want to go and force the government to defend on something indefensible rather than giving them an opportunity to make their denial more defensible. There is one situation where I think it makes sense to have an AAO appeal, though. And that situation is if you feel like you have material evidence that you have not submitted as part of your petition, you may want to do an AAO appeal just for the purposes of getting in that additional evidence. And the reason is that when you go to federal court, the judge decides these USCIS denials on what's called the administrative record. So when you file an APA lawsuit, which is the type of lawsuit you'd file to fight a denial, the judge can only consider what the government has considered. So you're limited to what they've used to consider your case and the information that you provided. And so if you have something new that's really, really helpful for you, you don't have the opportunity to introduce it at the lawsuit stage. And the same holds true for the government. So everything is pretty much locked into place in terms of the facts that the judge could consider when you file the lawsuit. So if you have something really good that you really think could move the needle and change the case for you, then maybe it's worth filing the AAO appeal in that case, because that's your last opportunity to introduce new facts before you would get in front of a judge. So even if the AAO denies your case, it may still be worth doing because now you've introduced these new facts, these killer facts, which hopefully are worth it. So that's probably the main strategic circumstance I could think of where if you have the option to go to federal court, it may make sense to do the AAO appeal as an intermediary step. So denials are pretty complicated to deal with. There's a lot of different permutations and ways that some you could contest, some you can't. Really definitely need a lawyer who's well versed in this area to kind of try to game plan with you and the best approach to do this. So if you do find yourself in the unfortunate situation of a denial, definitely consult with an immigration lawyer. Maybe even better in some circumstances, consult with an immigration lawyer who primarily litigates in federal court, because there's a lot of twists and turns to that most immigration lawyers are just not going to be very experienced in. So, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I encourage you to subscribe if this was useful. Thanks.